All right. So if you guys weren't aware, I was hired about a month ago by Tiger Illustrated, which is a part of the Rivals.com network. I'm super excited about that to continue this sports writing journey and getting to learn under one of the best in the game, Larry Williams. So if you're listening, man, thank you so much. Gonna have you on the podcast soon. Very excited about that part. We're gonna talk about the Orange Bowl, kind of my experience and what I saw in the game, what I kind of what was my thoughts? And I think a lot of people were curious. They're going, "Hey, you were at the Orange Bowl. What did you think?" So Tennessee obviously won this game 31-14, and it was really I this is not going to be a controversial take by any means. I think Clemson lost this game more than Tennessee won it. It was very close. It was 14-6 for a long time, but I think there's a lot of factors, and there was a lot of angry Clemson fans, of course, as it is per a Clemson loss. There's a lot of energy surrounding that. So let's just go down the list. And I think the first thing you have to start with is Cade Klubnik, who played very well, I think, in this first game. This is his first start where everybody knows in the stadium that number two is walking on the field. It's not like the ACC championship game where DJ Uyunglele, who is now at Oregon State, so congrats to him, who has two series, doesn't go well, and Cade Klubnik comes in, and North Carolina has no clue. In the post-game press conference, Mac Brown was unsure. He knew Cade was going to play at some point, but he wasn't aware that Cade was going to come in Series 3 and just completely light it up. And that UNC defense was very weak, one of the worst in the Power 5. So Cade obviously had a lot of success. And then Tennessee has a month to kind of go, okay, what can we do to like kind of mess it up? And I thought Cade distributed the football very well. There was a couple things though. I think he had a couple of those brutal freshman mistakes that you kind of see with typical freshman quarterbacks trying to do too much, and it ends up in a costly mistake. Sometimes turnovers. He had two interceptions on a Friday, but I don't think they were interceptions that you can go, oh man, he shouldn't have thrown that. They were both on a trying to make a play desperately at the end of the game. They were both prayers, and it just kind of went. It was the way that it went. I think his worst mistake of the night was that where the Clemson had no timeouts and they were in the red zone, an opportunity to at least score a field goal, get three, get some momentum going, maybe cut it to one possession. Clemson and Cade Klubnik, he rolls out the pocket, he steps up in the pocket, and I think he saw an open avenue to scramble, and he takes a sack. And Klubnik, with no timeouts, is not able to stop the clock, and Clemson goes into halftime with no points. That's a brutal mistake, and that's something that when you have a couple of games under your belt, you have film, you have coaches in your ear, you're consistently able to hear that stuff. That's when you're able to go, okay, I need to be able to take care of the football here. And I'm sure they told him that, but it's different when you're in the game and guys are in your face and you have to make a split-second decision. That's something you learn over time. It's different at Westlake than it is against Tennessee in the Orange Bowl. These things happen. But on the other hand, you will have a majority of people saying that that mistake could have been easily avoided should he have had more experience earlier in the season, maybe starting and taking over for the job earlier for Uyunglele. But with hindsight, we can say that now. It's kind of one of those things where you go, well, we could have seen it happen here, but we didn't. And that's kind of the reality of it. So we just have to look at it for what it is. And Klubnik, he played well, didn't play perfect. He didn't play like he did against UNC. There's still a lot of positives that you can take. He threw the ball 51 times, which shows a lot of trust from the coaching staff and Dabo Swinney to be able to do that. So it's just kind of that thing. When I was covering Clemson football in the summer and they were doing those practices, for me, Klubnik was a guy that when he spoke, everybody listened. And I think that's going to carry very strongly now that he is the guy. It's not him barking at the second string offensive lineman. The whole team will now rally around him. Clemson football's face is now Cade Klubnik, and they've got a lot of special things going on there. And the second thing on the list is the special teams. Clemson drives down the field on their first opening possession, and they try a fake field goal in scoring territory, a 44-yard field goal, which is pretty automatic for BT Potter, who had one of his worst nights of his career. He went 2 for 5. He had 3 misses, and I think 2 of them were for 50 yards. It wasn't Potter's best night. And I think part of that was that special teams pitch where they went with Drew Swinney and BT Potter on like a speed option in the beginning of the game. I think for Swinney, I think the situational awareness was off there. It was a 80-20 environment for Tennessee to Clemson fans. From my vantage point in the press box, it felt like Tennessee was outnumbering Clemson. It felt like there weren't many Clemson fans there, and that's nothing against Tiger fans. I think this was Tennessee's biggest game in years. I looked back and I was like, I'm interested. There's a lot of fans here. This is a big deal for them. The last New Year's Six Bowl for them was in 2004 in the Cotton Bowl. This was a big deal for Tennessee. It's been 18 years since they've even won a New Year's Six Bowl. So coming in with Joe Milton, there's a lot of excitement around this Tennessee program. For them to win 11 games this year was a big deal against a prominent program like Clemson. I think for Dabo, you got to kind of have that in mind, saying, hey, this is a pretty hostile crowd. Let's take the points, and it prevents Tennessee from taking over on a short field and be able to move the ball downfield with ease. It keeps the defense and offense, it kind of keeps the momentum in check and doesn't allow huge swings in such a hostile environment. And you're saying it's a bowl game. You had to really be there to see it. And I think on the broadcast, you can probably see it too. Every time that Tennessee had Clemson on the field on offense, it was loud. You could hear it through the box, and they had the glass to kind of cover it up so you couldn't hear much. It was loud, and Tennessee fans, they made sure their presence was known. So congratulations to the Tennessee Volunteers. I think for Joe Milton, he was auditioning for that starting job. They got the 5-star Nico coming in. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. Apparently his NIL valuation is off the charts. He's got a cannon of an arm. I haven't really seen his tape, so I really don't know what to say, but from what people have told me, he is one of those special prospects. So I think Milton really needed this game to go well for him. He's got a rope of an arm, even in warmups, just throwing 50-yard balls with complete lack of effort. It was insanity to see. I was very impressed with him. He was able to control the ball well, take advantage of Clemson's mistakes on special teams, and turn them into 6 points each time. Tennessee played their hearts out. Heupel out Coach Sweeney. And that's how you kind of have you end 22 with a bitter taste in your mouth if you're a Clemson fan. But I think there's a lot of positives to take. You got guys like Barrett Carter, breakout season. Joseph Nagata, he's got a tough decision to make as he had to hit one of his better games as a Tiger, looked to be Cade's go-to guy all night. Now I'm going to be posting this on Tiger Net, so I'm very curious to see the kind of reaction. But my takeaways from the Orange Bowl is I think Sweeney got out coached. There were situations where there was a situation where Tennessee was 4th down and Dabo immediately sent out the punting unit, and Tennessee kept their offense on the field, which meant they had to take a timeout or they would have taken a 5-yard penalty and made it 4th and 1 in Tennessee's plus territory, and they had to waste a second timeout with 6 minutes left in the 4th quarter. That was a crucial error and kind of summated it. It was the summation of the night where the Tigers had a chance to get a stop here, really put Tennessee on their heels, and they had made a bad mistake here, a bad mistake there, a freshman mistake by Cade. It is what it is. And I think you got to kind of look at it with hindsight being 2020. You make some different decisions here, you make some different decisions there. That's how you go with it. Whether you want to have significant changes like they did in 2012 when they got 2011, 2012 when Geno Smith came and embarrassed them in the Orange Bowl. If you want to make significant changes there, that's your prerogative. I think we kind of have to wait this one out and kind of see how Clemson reacts to the portal. Who's taking off in that defensive line group? Is KJ and company going to stay? Are people going to take off? Who's going pro? Who's not? Is the portal going to be used? How does this roster change in the next 6 months before spring? Next 6 months before really the start of fall camp, and about 2 to 3 months before they really start to get going for spring ball. I'm excited to see it, and I'll be covering it nonetheless. So guys, stay tuned for that. But up next, we're going to talk some NFL playoffs. There's a lot in the line, and the Saturday games just got announced. Let's talk about them. Stay tuned.